Gotta get here pretty early in the morning, unless you get hit by a meteor. And that's apparently what happened to the rest of the meta crew today, because Brad is going to sit next to the fire, sip a little Diet Dr. Pepper, and talk to you about the meta. I'm pretty excited about it, too, because it's a pretty crazy weekend. Actually, late. Look, man, I'm not late. I am just like a wizard. I approach exactly when I want it to. It's always easy peasy breezy when you're talking about when I'm showing up. Sometimes I don't even know. But we had a crazy weekend this weekend. I mean, literally 12 different factions won. We had multiple different Marines. GK won one. I would have invited anybody on. I did not realize that I was going to be running Han Solo. Exactly. Sometimes you have to spend a little time next to the fire, playing some Marvin Gaye. But we had a crazy weekend. Let's talk about this weekend. Huzzah! That is a lot of data. CSM are an issue, man. They had 3 more wins over the weekend, 58% over the weekend. They're rocking still. The biggest thing about CSM right now is Sean and I were thinking we're going to talk a little bit more about this tomorrow, which is CSM as a whole aren't a crazy problem, but they're a crazy problem at the top. I mean, it is just nuts right now with the amount of power that they are putting out at the top level. You know what I mean? I can't tell you exactly what's going down with this. So one of the things about them is they have answers to the other top army lists. Slanesh missing got snatched. I mean, 100% I am the only one guy that can talk to myself. I'm very happy talking at me. Corey, was it that good? Was Godzilla something that I should see in the middle of the week right now? All I'm saying is it's awesome. But CSM's an issue. CSM is an issue, and it's going to continue to be an issue. And I'm hoping that we see something about it in the data slate, but I'm not 100% sure because when they talked about it in the MetaWatch, the GW MetaWatch, they did not say anything about trying to do any of that. So that's a huge deal on that. Hell yeah. How many people have seen Godzilla? Is it just because I'm going to say that Corey, I don't know about both Corys, but one of the Corys is very biased when he's talking about anything with big monsters in it. I think they get an extra 4 stars because of the fact they have big monsters in it. There's a basement that has every big monster ever in the universe. Rocking it out. But and Portal and Badome, nice. That's rough. Those guys are good players. Noah's stuff is amazing looking. But CSM, I don't know if they're going to get fixed, man. I'm a little worried about that. Because between the Chosen with the Lord just punching up so hard, that's a crazy army. Of course, packs are just nuts, exploding, sustained hits, explosions, or you have lethal hits. The accursed cultists are wildly undercosted. So it's a big deal on that. Uh-oh. Who the hell is buzzing in here?
I'm here to save your ass.
Nobody can be saved. I'm unsavable.
We'll see. I'm pretty good at saving helpless causes.
Dude, I am so fantastically okay. Have you never seen me talking to myself about things?
Have you ever seen you try to do something for 60 minutes straight with no breaks?
Oh, I'm barely here in the first place. But I will put Lyle in this. Bam! There's a window of Lyle showing up. Should I size it right? Nah.
That's really up to you, honestly.
We know
that the main thing you want people to look at is you.
I mean, clearly. I mean, I put myself in the dark. Brad is a little beat up after the weekend. But there's a Lyle. It looks like you're actually looking at the data, which is really nice too, because every time you look over to your...
Is it looking this way?
It's the other way, right there.
You go the other way.
Yeah.
Because it's opposite on my screen. That's why I can't tell.
Yeah. So We did do a lot of Necron testing over the weekend, and I actually really like Necrons. I don't think they're going to be nuts, but I do think they're going to make a meta splash.
Based on just the list we saw, which I think is the list most people are going to go to, that Canoptic Court durable nonsense list, I think they're going to be a real problem mid-table bully type list. I think there's just going to be like unkillable for people that aren't coming to play a real serious.
Well, it's hard though. Even if you do bring a really deadly list, it's a big deal of that because of the fact that one, you've got an infiltrating 6 Wraith unit with a character, but you've also got other tools. The power matrix is legit with full rerolls to hit, especially when you're talking about like stuff that I wasn't a huge fan of before, like Doomstalkers and stuff. Those actually come to play now. So yeah. I really did like those. We played them again. We played them on Saturday, played them on Sunday. We tried to make the Hyperphase Ninja Death Company work, and it didn't feel great. It felt the rules felt really nice, just like GK rules felt really nice, but it didn't have the killing mojo that I wanted.
Yeah, so, I think Sean pointed out on one of your streams last week that like it sounds great in theory, but when you compare it to Grey Knights do that with a bunch of things that are supposed to be MSU units and they hit on 3s. You're doing it with a bunch of stuff that's supposed to be a horde and it hits on 4s. It's like that's the exact opposite.
Corey, I believe it on that way. That's what I actually said yesterday. Is he goes, the teleporting list is a higher ceiling than the Canoptic Court. I 100% believe that. It's just going to take longer to figure out the secret sauce because you have to figure out exactly what you're putting in there. Because there's no like automatics. Like you're playing the Canoptic, and you're just
gonna
like
put 18 race on the table with 3 Cryptomancers and start winning at least 3 games every tournament.
Yeah, it's just
gonna happen.
And the fact that you can infiltrate one, and then you're gonna put a couple trash units out. You're gonna put a 4 deployer, like a flayed one. Like I said, the Doomstalkers didn't feel bad at all with full rerolls. You're just going to produce real problems. We tried to play that against Votan on Sites of Power, and the Wraith list was just bonkers down. You just went, what are you going to do? You score a 0 on primary for like 3 turns against them. They're also OC too.
Yeah. I feel like someone will get to the teleporting court eventually. I feel like I like the idea of it going somewhere with like, multiple teleporting name Catan maybe. And then try and do some MSU nonsense or whatever.
Nightbringer's still a bastard, man. That guy's a son of a bitch.
+2 damage matters.
It was huge. He's now just auto-swinging out Terminators and shit like that. You know what I mean? And that dude... Now, they are slow as balls now with the 6-inch move, but I feel like in the Canoptic, they're actually really good because everything's pushing up and he's just kind of moseying his way up. And he's still a small model. You know what I mean? You can hide him underneath the line.
Yeah. Yeah. I think someone will figure out. There's going to be there's going to be multiple good Necron lists, and I had the privilege of trying to explain why 40k wasn't dead to Snigs with a broken back and rage full of pain on Saturday, and I was telling him, I was like, if you think 40k is bad because there's only like one version of each army that's playable right now, and you don't feel like you have options, we need to like wait it out because I think I personally think 40k is fine right now. But the other half of that is that 40k is very clearly trending in the direction of Age of Sigmar, and they intentionally make sure there's 3 or 4 playable versions of every army in each book.
And I think they've really hit the mark so far with the codices, because we've literally had every codex has felt not OP but 100% playable, and you can make great arguments for which is the best. You know what I mean? And we saw that over the weekend. We had Marines win with 3 or different of their factions right now, factions, but detachments. We had
I don't know if you noticed, but we have a sneaky Crawley sneaking in through hyperspace.
Reinforcements have arrived.
You know what? I will put you guys back in that.
We start talking about Necrons and Crawley materialized.
Just showed up out of nowhere.
Okay. The Crypt Lord called, and I needed to come.
Hold on. Now I gotta make you guys into a different size window. You know what? I might not even fix this window. I might just stretch it out.
No, just let me be the ghost in the background that's talking for the two.
I'll make you guys. I'll make you guys very tiny next to my giant dad.
Probably the red-eyed robot from like Space Odyssey.
Can you tell my lack of sleep from work? Oh no.
I mean, what was it? Hal was the one. Oh yeah. Yeah. You're just the disembodied voice.
I'm sorry, Dave.
I love it. Custodes at an all-time low of players, plus shit win rate. Maybe when Clueless Stew switches to coffee and puts down the tea, he'll figure it out. Hold on, I gotta scroll down. There you go. Here's Custodes. I gotta go.
I do like what you're saying, though. I do think that as the Codex has come out, nothing is appearing to be too crazy over the top. But it worries me for things like Admech. But I think Admech would be really good.
I love it.
With points.
It's the Crawley who stole Christmas.
The Crawley ghost of Christmas past.
No, but the thing is Lyle's got a great point on this. Is just as we get more, I'm very excited for this year because what we have this year is at least 2 data slates, and we're going to get 12 books. And every book looks like we're getting 3 playable lists. I want to go back to chat just a little while, though, because we were talking about the fact that we get a lot of people playing Black Templars just because of the multi-meltas. And I agree with that a little bit, but also I think that their squads, why am I blanking? What's their stupid squads called?
The Primaris Crusader Squad?
Crusader Squads. I think the Crusader Squads actually hit really hard for their points. So it's a nice counter for when people are bringing chaos and stuff like that. You have something that you can just try to clean up the Custodes, the Chosen, after they've gotten out and smoked something. It's not a great trade, but it's not a terrible trade. You know what I mean? So many people are making such terrible. That's why one of the reasons CSM's so high is because every time you have to go trade for Chosen, especially if it's behind a wall when you're talking GW trade, it's just such an annoyance because you have to take so many more points than they used to use. So they killed something, you have to bring more points to go kill that, and then they get a chance to counter it again. So you always end up trading for shit against the Chosen, it feels like.
That's why I feel like Black Templar are in the same boat that Dark Angels are, and that they're better. They're better versions because their characters can be just slotted in, and then you can make really creative and awesome lists through those.
All right, hold on. You said a bunch of magic keywords that I need to touch on real quick. You said
magic?
creative, and Dark Angels. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see the undefeated Dark Angels list from this weekend?
No, I have not seen the undefeated Dark Angels list from this weekend. Is it all
My
Terminators?
good friend, it is playing a Storm Raven.
Yes! Legendary!
Wow. I would be excited that this is so different, except for I hate flyers so much.
I have to think it was just starting the game in hover mode.
Wait, is Storm Raven?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, which player is that one? Is that the normal
The big
big
one.
chunky
It's
one.
the big chunky
Not
one.
the Thunderhawk.
You remember the one that I have 6 of in the basement because there was no rule of 3 in 8th edition, and I had to play 6 of them?
Yeah, the one that's like that you put a dreadnought on the back of it and drop.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. See, I like flyers. I was actually talking about it, by the way. Figured out that you can actually deploy the really cool Tau one. My brain is completely not shifting over. But anyway, you can deploy it in the corner because the base is 6.22 and there's 6.44 clearance in the corner of a map. I'm going to do it in there.
You did the math.
You did the math. But yeah, no, I think that with rapid ingress, it actually makes flyers, especially flyers that can transport things, extremely viable because they go as far as they want. And it's like nothing like dropping a wonderful any kind of dreadnought in your backfield.
Corey Schultz has a good point on this because if the Doom size are actually cheap in the teleporting Necron list, I could actually see a world where Doom size actually get put in that list.
If we know the points, can I say what the points of the Doom size?
They have not
been published officially.
We don't know anything.
I don't know what the points were, but theoretically. It also depends on what did the Doom size ability change to? I remember it actually went from bad to good.
It's decent, but it's also like you can use the stupid strat for 3 inches away and just be like, here's a plane, bro. You know what I mean? It's still, it kind of ruins your opponent's move phase when you put a plane in front of them. So
Now hold on, Brad. How many monoliths did you guys test this weekend?
we did test a monolith.
How did that go? Because we love that strat.
Yes. Well, the funny thing is we had to use it a little bit in the second game, but the first game, DeFrank just went YOLO Swaggins and high rolled the shit out of it and insta killed Monolith on turn 1.
Monoliths don't feel like are durable enough.
For
I
the
don't
point-
know that
for the
anything
points?
is durable enough for
No.
the points right now.
Those points are just too much for me.
Yeah.
I just need more stuff. And the thing about it is that I want more shit in my Necrons. I think I'm just spoiled on the Canoptic list. It just felt really good.
Well, there's also like it's counterintuitive on the teleporty list because like that rule lends itself to like toolboxy MSU style lists, and that's the opposite of a monolith. Like it's not either of those things.
Somebody tell me this rule because I know that they're making a big thing, but what was the final ruling? Joe's coming in from Meta Monday, and he goes, "How big of a change is the UKTC ruling on Exalted 8-Bound?" Because the world eaters are just like going crazy on UKTC.
I think they let you put Exalted 8-Bounds in a Rhino.
Is that what they ended up?
What?
I think that's what they did.
What is
that? Was what I saw on Reddit earlier, or Discord somewhere earlier. They were the ruling was that you were allowed to put Exalted 8-Bound in a Rhino, I believe.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's pretty nuts. Because you just
man, in America, we can't even get the WTC ruling for 1 inch away from the
those guys like haul ass too. So you'd get out 3, move 9. If Angron's around you, you could move 2 more. Jesus Christ,
and then you can move 2 more for blood ties. So now we're up to what?
Well, then you also just do you do the auto advance 6 strat.
Yeah,
just fucking shoot you out of a t-shirt gun.
What is your charge range? Yes.
Ooh, shoo doggy, that's crazy. And the thing is we actually have this. He was talking about it where world eaters are very hard to figure out where they are because they've been all over the place in their performance. Yeah. Because they have some hard counters, but they also have some just auto win armies. You know what I mean? If they go first against certain armies, especially elite armies that don't have screens, just the game's just over. You know what I mean? That's a tough army to mess around with. All the armies that only operate in one phase have always been hard to balance. Anything Khorne, and the world eaters, Khorne demons, things of that nature. But even like Tau and stuff like that. Tau, armies that just only do either just shooting or just hand to hand, and they're super focused on that, are very difficult to balance.
Look, my favorite, it is what it is. Tau, a lot of the armies I play are historically bad against World Eater and World Eater style lists. So I don't love them because they're just naturally good against me, and it is what it is. But one of my favorite memories in the last few weeks is when we went down to, was it Dayton? I don't remember, Brad, wherever we went. And there was somebody in the, table 3 in the last round, a guy who had been undefeated playing World Eaters. And he gets paired against the Black Templars guy, and he was like, "Oh, you have a Judiciar. I don't know what to do anymore." I was like, okay, that's what the list does sometimes, I guess. It just wins automatically and it loses automatically in certain situations.
True on this. It is, to be fair, the 8-bound thing, for sure, that should include both, but they just don't share 8-bound keyword anymore because index. You know what I mean? So, whatever. And that is a thing. It will be fixed. Let's be honest. That is not happening. You know what I mean? Soon enough.
Yeah.
All right, Brad. let's talk about some real meta numbers though this weekend. Okay. I got some real data for you. I was gonna super chat it.
Looking at it.
I got data that's not on your sheet. Okay.
What data do you have? Like what color shirts people were wearing? Lyle's like, all right, guys. If you're wearing a green shirt, you won it 62% of the time.
We had one tournament this weekend, Brad. It was like a 54-person tournament in Texas. 5-rounder. Within the top 5, there were 3 Baneblades.
This hurts my soul. How did they move?
Well, hey, Brad, we literally had it on the Discord earlier that you said that somebody has to play 2 Bane Swords.
No, I was saying we need to convince Brad.
Oh, I thought you said Brad made the edict that somebody has to play.
God,
no, I was saying that we need to convince him.
I'm already thinking about how many points there was.
I think it was Clifton came in 5th with 2 Bane Swords, and then there was another guy who came in 3rd with a Storm Sword.
I'll give it to Clifton because that dude's always made guard work.
Yeah. He's just a guard player. He's a specialist.
Yeah. He just does stuff.
Yeah. The other guy's list, and I love how we can all see this now on BCP to just this way people when they title their list, it gets uploaded, they use the app. I love it. The guy who came in 3rd was like, narrative guard list, and he had like one of everything, including a storm sword, and he went 4-1.
Love it.
Yes.
Meta Monday's got it. He goes, player place for the win. Yeah, you have to clear some serious, like, let's push this terrain away a little bit and play this game.
It was Texas. I don't know what they normally do down there. I don't know if they normally do player place or not.
It's because you were a big tank guy, KR. He goes, I like the big tanks. Yeah. I know, like the big tanks. I'm a ground pounder for life, infantry.
You know, I really think one of the things, I know I'm jumping back a little bit, but I think it's important and relevant when we're talking about different metas and their terrain. One of the biggest things I think that hurts melee armies right now is the inconsistency. Since the melee rules are a little bit under par, the inconsistency of what rules will be at what event hurts so bad.
It's like, huge because we have small things. It's a big deal. If you remember when we were starting, I think it's the beginning of 9th when we had different rules for terrain per the tournament. I remember going to I went to 4 tournaments in 5 or 6 weeks, like where it's doing back-to-back tournaments. Every single one had a different ruling for how you're trading walls and assaults and stuff like that. And it makes certain lists wildly different in power level. 100% Crawley.
Yeah, like I think that's part of the reason that Custodes are struggling so much, because they don't have the speed of World Eaters, and that's why the teleport list does so well. But it's really hard to melee when everybody's just like, I can shoot you with big guns and stay 1 inch away from a wall. Shame if you were to try to charge me.
Yeah, it's big on this. I mean, I was actually really impressed with the fact that the Marine. I'm actually really happy. I wish that we'll talk about this and we'll go back and forth with the Tyranids right now, because the Marine book is seeing success in 3 or 4 different factions now. Vanguard, Firestorm, Ironstorm are all doing really well, as Gladius.
Can I ask you this question, Brad? I don't know how much this is like showing up in the data we typically look at, but I know some people have collated this subset of data and have noticed this trend. The Space Marine lists of all sorts, as you said, are doing very well in America, and they're not really showing up at all in UK. And I'm wondering why you think the UKTC terrain is so different that Space Marines would not be successful there.
Space Marines right now are using the ability to bounce and jump around, like for instance in Vanguard, to hide and be indirect, to pick angles. I don't know if they can do that same thing on UKTC. The UKTC current setup is very open comparatively, compared to other terrain types. You can make a player place terrain if someone makes an error, but like as far as like just every single board has just an open quarter basically. I remember when we were looking at London GT and we were just looking at some of those boards, they don't have terrible setups, but they are way more open than others are.
Most of the armies that do well on UKC terrain especially have really hard-hitting melee elements and good shooting elements in a combined faction, because UKTC terrain has 2 advantages. One, they use the WTC ruling for being able to do charging, so you can't 1 inch away from a wall. And 2, most of those tables are set up where one, like he said, there's usually really large firing lanes and corners are open, but the center's usually pretty muffled. That's why CSM are outrageously stronger over there, but Marines are weaker, because CSM have baseline invulns, because demons, and stronger melee options than the Marine list do. And that's why over here
they can also extend so much farther. You know what I mean? Because of the advance and charge just built in. And I'll go with Corey on this one. He goes, the changes to their weapons for the 10th, just basically just having a Melta just slammed on top is one of the reasons you're seeing Black Templars everywhere, because you need that extra oomph, AP and a higher strength weapon, and having 10 plus more Melta shots just because, you know what I mean, without changing anything else about your list. I'm sorry, spending 5 more points per vehicle is a big thing. And to answer the question from Brandon will always be bitter about Space Marines while all of his mounted options don't exist.
Brad, I know that you don't look at Facebook chat at all, but Heidi, I think, did get Brandon with the best roast of all time this weekend.
Oh, hit me.
I was telling Heidi about the ornaments that you guys have been making on your Wednesday stream. I think it is the little Christmas ball.
Yep.
40K ornaments. And Heidi's immediately commented, she's like, well, Brandon should have enough Space Marine ornaments to decorate an entire tree with all the useless legend models he has sitting around.
Oh, hurtful, too soon.
I did want to make a quick comment, if I could. Someone in chat mentioned the Blood Angels, which I think was in the Meta Monday article. I think someone mentioned it. It was either Meta Monday or Discord. I saw someone talk about Blood Angels are just not showing up, and when they do, they're terrible. I think it was 39% in the Meta Monday article.
Yes, but
for Blood Angels.
I really do think
I have a theory as a Blood Angels player that number is wildly low. That number is not an accurate reflection of what they're capable
I agree.
of.
Rice and I said this morning.
Yeah, I think what that is a reflection of is that Blood Angels players want to play their Blood Angels toys and are not willing to play less Blood Angels for the sake of doing better.
No. That's not fair. Why? Blood Angels
As a Blood Angels player, I feel like I have insight.
Blood Angels are good, right? But if I'm not playing my Blood Angels toys that are good, then why am I playing Blood Angels? Right?
I think you could do exactly fine, or you could do exactly as well as other Space Marines if you're like, I want to play. Oh, sorry. There's a second half of this theory. Okay. I also believe that there are not enough events that have made the reasonable ruling of who can lead Death Company or Sanguinary Guard. Because currently the data sheets for Death Company and Sanguinary Guard still say captains can lead them, not captain with jump pack, the new one that they made when they made the new sheet. So technically the only people that can lead Death Company and Sanguinary Guard are named characters.
Yeah, you can't put Sanguinary Priest with anybody you want to put in your squads, too.
My issue is you can't put the Vanguard Warlord trait on anybody since they're only named characters. So like if you had an event that allowed you to put the infiltrating Warlord trait on a unit of Death Company that had like a regular captain or a regular chaplain or something on there, like I think if you could do that and then you had a Libby Jet Dreadnought to like do teleporting Centurions turn one and like get angles and shoot and stuff, and then you do the rest of it as like good Space Marine stuff, I think Blood Angels are fine. But if you're trying to jam in all the historical Blood Angels lists and you can't use any of the nice Warlord traits because they don't go on any of the meaningful melee units, I think it's just a non-starter.
Yeah, but you're trying to make a list that doesn't exist right now. I mean, you need you literally need their supplement right now before you're going to make that kind of list. And maybe
I think if Blood Angels could put the Vanguard Warlord trait on one of their melee units, and then the rest of the list is basically just a Vanguard list, it's fine. Yeah, I don't think events are letting you do that.
Yeah, I'm just saying that like you can make Blood Angels work, but it's not going to look like a traditional Blood Angels list. It's just going to be Blood Angels.
I agree with that.
It's going to be like literally a sprinkling of Blood Angels stuff, and then it's just going to be standard shooting Marine type stuff, right?
Yeah,
I can make an
Imperial Fist list. I think that's just what
list.
people don't want to do, so they're not trying.
Right. I can make an Imperial Fist list that would be 95% of that Blood Angels list, and it will be the exact same thing, right?
Yeah.
You're giving up certain power pieces to play as Blood. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, man. You are a Blood Angels player. I fully support that action, right? And there's also a significant amount of hobby lag. Most faction enthusiasts aren't going to have, like a Blood Angels player traditionally, if they've been playing for 8th and 9th, is not going to have the level of tanks and the level of all these other things that you would need.
How many Blood Angels players actually own 6 to 9 Centurions? Probably not many, because we never.
They might be Raven Guard painted.
I'm probably one of the only Blood Angels players that has red Dev Centurions painted up because I paint all my Marines red. But I mean, we only got to start doing that last edition, and no one was playing those. So.
Never gonna live it down that I said the Eldar reveal was weak, and I stand by the fact that the reveal was. And then like 2 days later, they showed like 6 rules and units, and I was like, "Oh, this is OP as shit." But I've been clipped as saying how bad it was originally.
Chaos Blood Angels are great. I agree.
Also, let's talk about the fact that I love the fact that Meta Monday literally slipped it in with Eldar at a calm weekend for Eldar, 55% wins. 3 GT wins, no big deal, easy weekend.
Did you see the Eldar list that won Atlanta, by the way?
I did not.
Oh man, if you can pull it up, you should pull it up. That list was crazy. Fire Dragons, Scorpions, no Yinkarn, no Night Spinners.
I'll find it, Brad, and put it in chat.
You literally had me at Scorpions.
Fugan with Fire Dragons, but not attached to them. Solitaire, 2 Falcons. Man, that list was crazy, and he played a really good game against Naaman. It was crazy. He went undefeated for the entire weekend.
You know what? I actually agree with Mike in chat here. He goes, I was pretty sure we were going to see the Blood Angels using the Librarian Dreads and the Firestorm. I agree, to be honest with you. I thought we were going to see more of that. Just dumping guys right on top of people and just blasting away.
Here you go, Brad. I put the link in the chat if you want to look at the list. In our chat, the Skype chat.
Well, I won't be able to right now, mainly because I'd have to do like a whole bunch of stuff with, again, the sizing. I'm pulling this from Skype, remember?
Oh, I thought if you click on it, it would just go to your screen. You have the Meta Monday on. I'm sorry.
No, it'll just try to do weird stuff.
Never mind.
That is
trying to be helpful.
yeah, I appreciate it, but that is a different window. I don't have that kind of technology.
I will read it to you, Brad, because I know that you can keep track of this stuff as I'm going. Okay.
Hit
He's
me.
got an Autarch. He's got a Farseer Skyrunner. He's got Fugan. He's got Karandris and a Solitaire.
Because he's got Karandris with those Scorpions then.
Yep. Storm Guardians for free things because he has the Farseer to flip dice.
Mm-hmm.
Falcon. Fire Dragons.
So he's literally dropping Falcon or Fire Dragons out of the Falcons. This is hot.
Yes.
This is hot.
Yep. Double Rangers for all that middle table infiltrate to say screw you World Eaters. Double Striking Scorpions. 3 support weapons and a unit of Swooping Hawks.
Dude, that's hot fire.
This has Brad all over it.
Here's my question. Is the reason a list like that was able to win Atlanta the same reason that the second and third place lists were guard?
I mean,
like just the amount of shooting you could have done there.
I did not.
North Atlanta's terrain was actually really good this year.
Yeah. Halsey's in chat, and it is late for you, brother. Because I was busy busting at the event. Firestorm Stormraven dude won. It was WTC Map 12, Eventful of Ireland, Northern Ireland folks. WTC players. His list was disgusting, but took a good pilot. I'd love to see that. I'd have to look at map 12 again. I just played on map 14. That's what's in my head right now. I did not test the Tesseract Vault this weekend. We tested a lot of different Necrons, Monolith, and a bunch of other shit, but we did not put the Tesseract Vault down. Because that also makes my heart skip a beat because it's so expensive.
Yeah, and you have to start it on the table because you will never get it to come out of Deep Strike. Oh man.
Support weapons are still good, man. There's so much shit that's good in Eldar that people like are playing here and there. That Codex is, that index is wildly deep. I can't even imagine when they get their book.
This list is fantastic. The way he played it was really well. He was doing a really good job of determining tempo on the game he played on stream. The Tau player he played against literally infiltrated half of his army on Search and Destroy in his safe objective area and said, whoever goes first is going to do this. So, like, it was a crazy game if you watch it all the way through.
It just like went, I'm going for it. If I don't go first, I'm just getting Fire Dragon in the face. Also,
exactly.
If the best part of it is, we were just talking about this the other day. I was talking to Austin Wingfield. We were talking about how that combo doesn't even make it into people's lists, and it's full rerolls to wound coming out of there. You're like, with Melta, you know what I mean? It's not like they're shooting spinners at you or something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You're just
Melta 3. Like, oh, that couldn't possibly go wrong against anything valuable. And Spank 9. So in a Marine meta, hey, that sounds real good.
I actually agree. Ben Money's got this. He goes with how long Sisters took, basically how Sisters have turned out and how long Space Marine took to get online. He goes, I fully expect Admech to have some play in a month or two with a new list. I'm terrified that Admech's going to find something in there because they have a lot of shit in there, to be honest. And I haven't took the deep dive in. I've really been super interested in Necrons, but I'm kind of afraid of there being something in there that I'm not seeing right away. And just basically somebody slowly but surely putting together all the pieces. Because none of that stuff's bad, by the way. Like
Breacher Dragoon spam is terrifying.
That's what I'm saying.
With the support for it.
I just don't know what the rest of you got to get the perfect fit for the rest of the army, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the problem I haven't been able to get because it feels like I didn't have enough other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but also 15 Dragoons, FA of Dragoons costs you $750. FA of Breachers costs you another $750. We have plenty of time for people to recover from the loan plus hobby time that will take.
Yeah, KR does have a good point on this. He goes, Siegler's happy with Admech. That's a scary saying. Yeah, I don't like that at all. He's never.
Has he said he's happy? The last game I saw him play with Admech, he lost by like 60 points and like said the game was over on turn 2 and stopped playing.
Yeah, but
the one he was playing the Wraith.
But I really think that they don't put a lot of times originally when they put the lists out, like the early lists, I feel they're just trying to make lists that are fun. They're not like trying to fine tune.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are mad geniuses. That was a week ago. They may have found something completely different by now. I have no idea.
No, they also keep tournament stuff close to their chest, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when's the last time you saw them play a tournament list on stream before an event?
This guy does all the time.
Yes, but I'm saying Art of War specifically.
There's
nothing wrong.
Brad and I had a discussion the other day. They play pretty close. I think sometimes they save some silver bullets for the final day, but like I've seen them play 80-90% of a list on stream several times.
I would love an example. We'll have that offline.
The Tal list Siegler took the Worlds was all like I think Brad said was all but 2 units were the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I would slowly get down to the Custodes, but I'm scrolling down, and it's going to take me a little while to get to that level.
Here's a question for you, Brad. Honest question. As someone who knows both these gentlemen, who do you think is more personally insulted by the weakness of their army's book? KR and Custodes, or Brandon and old Space Marines?
KR is more upset about the faction. KR is more upset about the faction total. Brandon's more upset about the fact that he has an entire cabinet of stuff that he can't play.
Those are like 3 units total. He just has a.
That was a very diplomatic answer, there, right?
It's also true.
It's true.
It's me as usual dancing around shit, but also it was true. So
Brad the ever politician.
KR is going to have his light in the sun, as our golden boys will be coming back in a few months. But on poor Brandon, he can never return.
Am I misremembering that back when Custodes were busted this summer, KR said he wasn't playing the good list because he didn't want to be mean to people? He just missed. He had an opportunity to be busted. He chose not to.
Right. So I did the same thing with Eldar. I literally played Eldar the opening weekend, and I refused to play Wraith Knight and whatnot. And then I was like, yeah, at least you're going back on the shelf for a while. This is totally crazy. Like, oh. I remember when we went to Nova, and both Crawley and Tom took it, and Tom hadn't even been playing. And both of them were basically showing up while I was still deploying my orcs. And just watching my games going, well, this is a little boring. I'm going to go get a drink. You want something?
I never said that, just to clarify. That was Tom.
Oh, man.
I literally walked up to you and I was like, how do you live with yourself when you play elves like this, Brad?
And I specifically went, I don't. Hence orcs.
No, the other interesting point, haven't Custodes been the strongest faction, like, in every edition? I know they were in 8 multiple times. I know they were in 9.
They've hit the problem with, in all seriousness, with Custodes have hit the top, but they almost immediately get a nerf back. For whatever reason, GW instantly gets the red alert as soon as Custodes are too good. Like, there's a bunch of other
Custodes are just. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. It's just it's just Custodes have been, like, a lot of other factions have just spent more time being OP. As soon as the Custodes are OP, it feels like they instantly get the nerf back.
I feel like Custodes are kind of, oddly enough, in a similar issue or similar problem as Knights, that your entire army is like 10 models, 20 models. You could only make them so bad and still make you have a viable army of 20 models before it just doesn't work at all. I know it's like Knights are more extreme. You have 5 models in some cases, but like if you're going to say you can't have giant bricks of guys and those individual guys aren't as good as they used to be, like I feel like it's a thin line in the same way that Knights is.
I want to get a jersey with Unstoppable Destroyer as my name on it.
I mean, I love that Eddie, another Custodes guy. He's not wrong. And he goes, they were strong for an hour and a half in 9th edition. Meanwhile, Nids had half a year.
No, no. You're so completely wrong. They were really good when they first came out, and the only thing that they struggled against was Tau. Tau got butchered first, and then they were good for the majority of the rest of the edition. The Dreadnought build was terrifying, and then we went to the double freaking no.
To be fair, Custodes, I don't feel like this is a controversial take. Custodes should have won LVO the year or the month the book
not
came
touching
out.
that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, like everyone who watched that game thought that the Custodes player was going to win that game.
Yes.
He didn't, but like that was when everyone thought Custodes were bad. That was before anyone realized they were good. So they were perfectly fine for a long period of time.
No, Meta Monday. Quins did not get to be broken for a year. Quins were freaking broken for about 3 weeks until we saw 17 airbrushed armies at Adepticon. I have the means to prove
All of the things.
Quins were like Nids. They both got nerfed 3 different times over a period of time because they kept being great.
Until they got their invuln touch, and then suddenly it was
dead. Then that was it.
That was tough. Let's talk about the armies that are doing around 50s. The 50 and less. The Thousand Suns, the IG, Chaos Knights back and forth. You know what I mean? Are these the perfectly balanced armies, or do they actually need something?
Thousand Suns got touch ban points. I think you could undo that and they would be okay.
I think they're still okay. They put out bonkers damage still. They just start when they play the trade game. They lose a lot because they lose a shit ton of damage when they lose Cabal points and pieces.
I don't understand how Thousand Suns are even winning in a Chaos Space remeta. Like that seems like a terrible matchup based on like the Chaos Space.
I actually think that's one of the reasons that their win percentage goes down, because I think that they play really well against a lot of other things, but I think that they just get ruined by CSM, because CSM can just send missiles and go, hey,
CSM just out trades them for days.
Well, it's also when they trade, they go, hey, we're going to advance the charge and move up, and all of a sudden you lose 8 Cabal points on turn 1 or 2. You know what I mean? And then the game becomes a trash fire. So
I'm also not sure. How do you think Thousand Suns are into like the Vanguard list?
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, they've got big damage and they can put down stuff. And again, the Vanguard list doesn't have any defense. They don't have any feel no pains or anything like that. You're just taking mortals to the face.
My thought is specifically on the Vanguard list. Like we've both played a lot of games where the Vanguard list, like if the other person's not just putting their shit on the table and walking forward, the Vanguard list just beats them by not giving them a spot to put anything. And then you can hide your damage and bamf out and just like alpha strike someone. I feel like that style of attack should work really well into Thousand Suns if they want to be able to like hit an angle and like blow you up.
Thousand Suns are just too elite for their point value, so they have to do crippling damage on the first alpha strike. And unfortunately, this isn't really we don't have the table styles that do it. I don't know how. I would be more afraid of Thousand Suns on player place than I would be on GW. For instance,
I could see that because they could just choose when they can do stuff, but I don't know. But like, are Thousand Suns balanced right now, and then everything else starts to get balanced around them, and they just become slightly better. You know what I mean?
No, because I don't think that their points play into the way that they get to efficiently play the game that you would want to. I want to see them have more points because right now they're in the same mode that like your Tau is in. And if we say that Eldar just gets the structure points that they need to, Eldar's points are in, where the points are so lean that you're having to make Rob Peter to make Paul choices, right? I don't think that that's a good place to be in, right? If you want to bump Thousand Suns, like give everybody a +1 to their invuln, sure, then we start talking about them being in a much better spot. But their points
is it a mechanical then? Could we do like mechanics, keep the points the same and slightly change the mechanics, or do they just need more points?
Do that. You could give them like an additional spell, like give them back the ability to give something a 4-up invuln or something to give them a little bit more durability. And I think that'd be great. So you could fix that mechanically.
They did decent over. They again, as usual, they did bad and good. IG. Right. Let's talk about IG because
IG had the best weekend they've had in a while.
It will also. The thing is that I think that IG, and we kind of thought of this over the weekend. So we were testing some IG with Lyle and I. and we're looking for armies that could go in an 8-man team. Singles, I think that IG is going to have matches that are just bad news bears for them. But I don't know. I mean, I obviously look through the lens of team tournaments quite a bit. I think they're terrifying in team.
Oh, for sure. That Artie guard list, when you know that you're going to get to play into things that you can kill.
Yeah. Well, and the thing of it too is like I think team guard maybe more than any other army. The team list looks completely different than the singles list.
Absolutely.
I don't know if any other book has such a dichotomy. But like even in the singles, I do think there's a lot more going on in the guard book than people really give it credit for. I don't think it's easy to play, but I think this weekend showed that if you're like pretty decent, you can go 4-1, 5-1 with guard at an event still now. It's not going to be easy. You're going to be playing on hard mode a lot of the time, especially if you like. This is a rough meta to like roll the dice in because I think they're terrible against World Eaters and Black Templars and anything of that nature. But like there was like 7 different guard lists that went 1 loss this weekend. That's a lot.
I mean,
that's crazy.
Certain matchups, they're just bonkers, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fact that you can just go, hey, we're about to make it rain, so you're going to get bombed.
Here's my question. Grey Knights won their first GT this weekend, right?
Yep.
How do Grey Knights beat 2 Bane Swords?
I mean, they don't.
Like,
I mean, KR literally pointed it
On
out earlier.
secondaries.
No, seriously. Yeah, you do it on secondaries. Because what KR was saying earlier, how it's crazy the amount of armies that have a hard time just killing a rhino right now.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's nuts. It's nuts toughness for the points.
We were shocked when we looked at the Chimera chassis this weekend. We were like, this is a what say?
Yeah. We're just like, what? It was a Hellhound's got a 2-up and a Chimera's got this. We're like, Corey does make a good point in the Thousand Suns and the Thousand Suns talk. The one thing is tough with Thousand Suns is having a shit ton of like 100-point characters, 100+ point characters attached to a 5-man Rubik squad does suck a lot of times because all of a sudden you not only do you flip, you lose 2 kill points, you know what I mean? If you're playing something like Purge, or if you got no prisoners, you know what I mean? Or if you just chose Assassinate at the beginning of the game. But yeah, I think the guard was terrifying. Like it's just, it has some serious play. It's got a lot of guns that are indirect, that are strength 10, 9, you know what I mean? That are putting out like a real amount of shots too.
Yeah. No, I think guard in team events is incredibly good. I just think the problem is their damage reliability / roll reliability, because of doing so much indirect, means that they're very prone to having that one bad game, right? And then if you get World Eaters, you're screwed.
I dug into all the guard lists because I'm just doing research right now. And so this weekend, the average amount of artillery that guard players was like 2.5. Like there's not a lot of artillery in singles.
They can't. They have to run.
I say they have to do stuff. I'm saying they have to do more stuff because you also go, I don't want to auto lose to CSM and World Eaters. So you have to run different shit.
Yeah. Yep. But I think that just really like it reminds me because I've done like a lot of people. I kind of dismissed guard for most of this edition, especially after their first nerf. I was like, I don't think there's anything here. I'll just go play Marines or Tau or whatever. That book's still like the second deepest book in the entire game. Like other than Space Marines, I don't think any book has as many different units as Guard has. And like that matters. You have a lot of tools to pick from if you're willing to put the time in and figure out how your list needs to work to play the game in the meta that exists.
I got a question for both of you.
Sure.
Death Guard. Death Guard have a whole bunch of new tricks. They have a cool faction ability or detachment ability. They've got some legit points per wound and everything else on their guys. Are they not winning enough because they're still just too slow?
I think I saw someone this morning, I don't remember which Discord I was in, but someone was saying that for Death Guard players, like this is like the book's perfect. Like it's good enough that if you want to go crazy, the list, you can build a very competitive Death Guard list. But if you just want to jam your fun Death Guard models, like all the units still have all the keywords, like you pointed out back when the book came or the index came out. Like they still just are good. They're just slow and their rules sucked originally. But if you just want to play with your cool models, they're fine right now, which is, I feel like, the sweet spot for any book. You can build a competitive list when there's only one detachment, or you can play your fun stuff and still do okay. I think that's going to result in the win rate being lower, but it means the players are happy.
I don't know. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, it's just I was working with Matt Aaron about it, and he's obviously got a limited selection of stuff because it takes him, forever to get something painted up to his level of paint. So, like, even playing with his Death Guard, the arsenal we have with it. It just feels like those lists feel pretty good, man. How about this? They feel better than 45 to 48% win rate. I don't think they're OP even remotely, but like, I just feel like that army, that faction should be winning at 50%, at 50 to 52 all the time.
I was thinking about this a few minutes ago. If you told me when you asked about like what we think the 50% win rate armies are and what we think of them, if you had just asked me to pick one off the top of my head that was probably the epitomal 50% army right now, I would have picked Death Guard.
Yeah,
without looking at.
I feel that that's where I just feel they are. I feel like they're just hitting a little bit low. It's not like they're way lower, but I feel like they should be just exactly there. And they've got a decent amount of games. Go ahead, Crowley, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. They suffer from melee not being as good. The armies the only melee army that does exceptionally well right now is World Eaters, and to a lesser degree, Chaos Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines get around it because they're running things that have advanced in charge and go forever, and you can go around the terrain to come hit them in the back, right? If melee was actually decent, like if all the codexes were back to 9th edition toughness, I think Death Guard would be probably one of the premier, especially with its ability to -1 toughness, -1 save, like all that kind of stuff. It's fantastic. The problem is they have to play that combined arms thing. And when you're trying to play that combined arms aspect into a meta where Eldar and CSM especially are so freaking prevalent, it's difficult. Was it Matt Aaron that won Rumble?
Painting?
No, that was Garrett.
Okay. Yeah. That list is a really good example. If you can actually make it to the point where Morty can function as a freaking distraction card effects for your army to get delivered, then it's just great. But the reason that we don't see all these other armies being more prevalent like they should be is because it's just Eldar and freaking CSM just smack you down because they play in all three aspects of the game better than every other army does right now.
Sorry, reading the wall. I always have to go to anybody that has the screen name Unca Stunka.
Unca Stunka.
Meta Monday asked, "What do you think is holding Death Guard back from being higher? Do you think they have a boogeyman?"
That's Eldar. Both Eldar and CSM played by a good player will always win against Death Guard. Unfortunately.
Oh man, if only there was an army that had the ability to make my slow army go at -2 and not be able to advance.
It's just Eldar has too much stuff that they can still put up. The spiders and stuff like that will still screen you out. And CSM is the boogeyman for almost everybody. If you don't have the most efficient shit, CSM just treats you badly because you just always get bad trades with them. Nothing feels bad when you literally have to lose 2 units to see the Chosen and a Lord. You know what I mean? It's just such a shit trade.
And what army can deal with tanks and cultists at the same time effectively, decently? And I don't think there's a real easy answer to that question. Chris cultists are so good with their points.
I'm going to go with the Unca Stunka goes, he's an orc player. Orcs going down in win percentage, but I don't know why. I feel that Death Guard and orcs should both be 50% for life armies because I feel that orcs just score so many points.
Because I feel like I might know the answer to it, or I feel like I have a part of the answer. So when you were doing orcs, you were kind of ahead of the curve with your dedication to transports. And I think now we're seeing a lot of people in chat comment, everyone's bringing transports because people figured out that this is a meta that they're really good for. Are orcs good at cracking transports? If the other person's bringing 4 or 5 rhinos, are orcs going to be able to actually meaningfully interact with that?
No, you got to double smash into stuff, but you still score really well. I mean, I feel that orcs is played on. They're not on hard mode. They're just not on. They're not on normal difficulty. They're like whatever the difficulty is between hard and normal. They're like in the middle. Schmedium. Yes, exactly. They're like Endy's shirts. Schmediums. You have to make good decisions all the time, but they have the tools to win. That's why I feel that they're a 50%er.
Ooh, ill-tempered fireblade, Votan dumpster CSM. That is a take.
I don't know about that.
An accurate take.
I'm willing to throw that down on TTS.
I am willing to throw that down on TTS as well.
CSM's just so punk stuff.
Point efficient and so good, and every single unit does 2.
No. You're missing a point. he's not telling you that that's true. He's telling you that's what GW said when their data said that Votan was 2 armies better than CSM.
Oh, shut up.
That was what
I
Metawatch said.
I live
Metawatch
close enough to
said.
drive up to you and throw something at you.
Well,
Wow.
Metawatch said
You made me
Votan was the
spit so
second
hard. I
best
need to
army
bust
in
out the
game,
Clorox
okay?
wipes.
That was what Metawatch said.
Indeed,
Yes.
indeed, we
Metawatch.
did say your name, Andy. Also, I love that Corey went with nerf the rhino, save the game. Yes, save the cheerleader, save the world. So, but, yeah, it's a big deal. If Berserks into Chosen is the perfect profile to remove them, but they're going to hit you first, unfortunately. That's the problem.
Yeah, Berserks do really good, except for when their tank gets crushed by, or their Sagittar gets crushed by indirect fire, and then they get charged by Chosen that moved advanced and charged for free.
And to be fair, he goes, Votan going first on certain boards is a dumpster against yes. So that's a real thing. But there's a lot of ifs on Votan. CSM's good first or second. Votan's like, show me the go first, and then hopes for the best.
Here we go first, and Hammer of Anvil on layout 2 or 3, and I will win 100% of the time.
I love it. But KR, I'll throw you an Ohio State hat. It'll miss.
So on that note, Brad, how do you feel about Ohio State not being part of the controversy of if they even should have been considered for the playoffs?
Oh, they should have for sure been considered.
No, they're not even in the top 6, Brad. They're 7.
Yeah, exactly. One loss to the number 1 team in the nation, definitely killing it. And also the team that, you know, we're not even getting into this on.
I'm trying to spiral you.
We're going to have another stream this week.
A team that made it literally got a gift from baby Jesus the week before to win against
one of those
us.
teams should have had 2 losses already.
Yeah, the 50, you know, the team that almost lost to a 50-50 team and literally had to have angels from the outfield at them.
There's one team that needed angels in the outfield to beat a team that lost by 23 to New Mexico State.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all of the
Humans haven't recovered.
Hold on,
from
everybody.
nerfs.
You know what? We're going to go with KR telling us what we should have been doing. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. It helps us get known, and the metrics can get us out there to be seen by a lot more people. And it makes it so I don't have to live underneath an overpass. So, yeah.
I can only keep Brad alive with super chats for so long.
Somebody's got to buy the ramen, goddammit. I still haven't got down to Custodes. There we go. I've been scrolling for a while.
We've been scrolling for an hour and didn't see him yet, Brad.
All right, you know what we're ending on? You're going to a tournament right now, and your only 2 options are Drakari or Custodes. What are you taking?
Well, I'll take. Do Custodes have pointy ears?
They do not have pointy ears.
Then I'll take Custodes, please.
Is this like a local GT?
This is a death match for $400 million, but you only have those armies to pick.
Oh, I'm taking Custodes because I can go for best overall with my display board. You didn't say how I had to win, Brad.
My bad.
I also will take Custodes because worst comes to worst, I can use some of the Forge War models to bludgeon people to death.
Hey, listen. Oh, never mind. It doesn't work anymore because dev wounds ignore your feeling of pain. I was gonna say, no matter what, if you roll 4s, you win. But unfortunately, dev wounds exist.
All right, so, last question, Brad. Last question. If they change Custodes to the 4-up field of pain, triggers on mortals, and devastating wounds, are Custodes immediately better?
Like a billion times better.
I will play them.
Like laughably, crazily better.
Like, is that all it's going to take? Is just fix that one rule and they're
Dude,
playable?
so many armies are dumping devastating wounds on you, and Custodes just go, I'm going to take it. Like,
I feel like that's an easy fix if GW has the courage
Just
to make
take
it.
the 4 take the 4-up away from mortal wounds because now mortal wounds don't basically exist this edition, and make it a 5-up field of pain all the time. Yes, that does tilt the math, but it's not going to kill them. I think it's perfectly viable.
I feel like you just change the rule to be like, anytime you take damage without rolling a save, you get a 4-up field of pain. Nice and clean.
5-up all the time. They're already so low in model count, it's perfectly fine. Race get a 5-up, feel no pain. Come on now.
Chat is disagreeing with you that it absolutely would not fix Custodes.
it would. You said make them better. It would make
You
them.
said
I have to do it make them playable.
It
freaking
would
out.
it would make them playable. He just wouldn't put them in the positive. it would make them playable on the table. They would be a faction again. They're not a dude that nobody brings Custodes. Like Custodes went from one of the most played armies in the game to 4 dudes named Ted are bringing them to the basement.
I cannot disagree with KR more. KR says that you need to unnerf everything except fights first. I don't even care about fights first that much. I hated the 10-man bricks. That's the part I don't want to come back.
Yeah, I don't want 10-man bricks back either. It's very anti-custode.
Yeah. It was not fun to try to kill 33 10-man bricks. Like that, just like I didn't have anything to do. So,
I mean,
I would care less if they still had to fight first.
Christian's not wrong about this. Like a lot of the armies that are doing poorly have a problem with AP where they don't have anything but AP nothing or AP 1. And with multiple people having armor contempt in some name, shape, or form, you know what I mean? And effectively everyone has cover. Let's just assume that everyone has cover, because if you met a guy one time that was behind a wall, you now get cover, even if you're standing in the open somehow. Hey, like a leaf blew between you and I when you were shooting, cover. Yeah. So like you need it's AP2 or you just don't have AP right now, it feels like.
Yep. Fully agree.
So on that note, let's Queens wave our way out of here, guys, because that was awesome. Thanks for saving the day, everyone. When I say everyone, it's you too.
Stay milky, my friends.
Stay milky.